You have to create a culture where you're constantly experimenting, and you never, never, never stop experimenting. And in experiments, you fail most of the time, but you learn to fail fast. Someday I'm going to write a book, 1,000 Ways to Not Grow a Church, because I know every one of them. Saddleback, we're not that smart. We're just not afraid to fail. So we try something, it doesn't work. We try something else, it doesn't work. We try something else, it doesn't work. We try 99 things, 100 things works. The truth is, it's just all trial and error. You must develop a lab mentality that you are always experimenting. If you always do what you've always done, you're going to be irrelevant, because you can't use yesterday's solutions in tomorrow's world. So you develop a mentality of always experimenting, always. That's the D in DNA. The N in staying relevant is never stop learning. Never, never stop learning. Growing organizations require growing leaders. The moment you stop growing, your organization stops growing. All leaders are learners. The moment you stop learning, you stop leading. There's a verse in the Old Testament of the Bible that says this: if the axe is dull and its edge is unsharpened, more strength is required, but skill will bring success. Listen to that. Not dedication, not desire. Skill will bring success. If I'm a farmer and I'm raising tomatoes, I can be as dedicated as I want, but if I use a wheat harvester, it isn't going to work. And if I'm raising wheat and I'm a farmer, I can go out and I can pray all I want, but if I don't use a wheat harvester, if I use a corn harvester, it isn't going to work. Skill will bring success. Now it says, if the axe is dull and its edge is unsharpened, more strength is needed. What's it saying there? If I'm chopping wood, it pays to have a sharp axe. And what he's saying there is, work smarter, not harder. That if you don't have a sharp axe, it takes more energy to chop the wood. Now, you're never wasting your time when you're sharpening your axe. And that's what you've been doing today. You've been sharpening your axe. So I honor you for being here. It really says more about you than it says about anybody who was on stage today, because it says you're a learner. Thousands of people chose not to come, but you came. You're a learner, and all leaders are learners. Never stop learning. That's the only way you're going to stay relevant. Develop a lab mentality where we're always experimenting, and the N is never stop learning. The A, and this is one that most people don't get, is you must acknowledge the grief. You say, what do you mean by that? Because this is going to throw you out of left field. Acknowledge grief. There is no growth without change. There is no change without loss. There is no loss without pain. There is no pain without grief. Growth of a company or anything else requires loss, because you've got to let go of the old to grab onto the new. And where there is no growth without change and no change without loss, because you're letting go of old to grab onto the new, where that loss is, there's going to be pain and there's going to be grief. Now, guys, those of us who are men, we don't get grief. We're not very good at dealing with negative emotions. And a lot of times, people in your organization, when you are changing, you think they're oppositional. They're just grieving. Let me say that again. A lot of people who you think are oppositional to your new idea, they're not opposed to it. They're grieving. And you got.
All right, so we're going to stop there this week. Stop share. All right, so that was the second part of how to remain relevant. We're looking at DNA. I hope some of you are taking notes. It's very important for me because I can apply it to my own professional career. And it's something I think we can look at as a club. Since this is the month for membership, we can look at how we can develop a lab mentality, experimenting, finding new ways to do something new, and never ever give up with our experiments. Over to you, Leslie.
All right, thank you so much. So we have some exciting news that was announced this week. PDG Diana, would you like to share with us the appointment of Barry, please?
Well, yes, thank you, President Leslie. Yeah, I was delighted to get the news. What is really interesting, not only do I think that Barry will be a great RI president, he is certainly one of the most dedicated Rotarians I think any of us know, and certainly in District 7020. But I don't know how many of you know that when Barry became an RI director, that too was because someone else was selected. Barry was number 2, and it was a gentleman called Milt Jones, and he served only for a short time, and then he became ill and was unable to serve the rest of the term. And Barry was invited to be an RI director, and this time again, you know, it's a sad reason that he was selected, but I think everyone is delighted. I certainly am very confident that he will be not only a good president, I think he's going to be a very interesting president. And so I hope you all feel as positive about it as I do. I mean, tremendous honor for District 7020, something that we have never had before. I would love to think it's the first of many.
Thank you, PDG.
Very exciting, very, very exciting.
That's right, because Paul is from the Bahamas, so it goes straight to the heart.
I've never been on
He
a
was
first.
my sponsor.
President
He's
of
my
RI.
sponsor.
Oh my God, that is awesome. That's true. And I have some pictures of you with him in Nassau. So maybe, Paul, you can write something. Can you write me something for the newsletter? Because that would be awesome.
Sure.
I have the pictures, and if you can write me a story, and just like you did last time, I would be very, very happy to publish it with, you know, space.
And perhaps also
Absolutely.
Barry's sponsor, who was past Governor John Robertson, who I understand has proposed a new member every single year of his Rotary career. So I understand.
At least, and sometimes 2 or 3.
Yeah.
If you choose a Rotarian that has had invited more people to Rotary, I can't know them. John Robertson is the bring new Rotarians in.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry, President, just 30 seconds. So I need someone that is not me, so that the rest of the club see action, and all or more members are involved in putting stuff for us out there in social media. Something that will say, on behalf of all the members of the Rotary Club of the Caribbean, we congratulate our IPE, Barry Racing. So I certainly can do it, but I think it's fun if we start, you know, sharing these opportunities to be engaged and show ourselves out there to our district. So
That
who's
sounds
doing
like
it?
a job for Paul.
John is doing it?
No, what I want to make certain is that any of these articles, any of these stories can get to me so that I can put them on our website, for goodness sakes. Thank you.
Okay, before we move into Roger's Rotary story, I would like Amaryllis to just share with us what the plans are for membership induction for this month.
All right, so the inductions are going to follow a little bit the same path as we have done on the previous year, which we're going to conduct a one-to-one interview, and a almost full program new members orientation prior to the actual induction and prior to presenting to the board, so that we are sure that our prospect members understand what we expect from them, and we are also clear what is it that they expect from us, because this is the only way that the relationship is going to work both ways. So, for example, Eli has been very clear about things that he wants from us, and I'm still have to work on that. So, at the same time, I think it's going to be a good exercise for all of us to review these expectations. And I'm going to soon ask for everyone to say, okay, this is what I expect from my club, and guide us a little bit into how the membership team along with the board can put together as many of these experiences as possible. So basically it's that, and then after that it goes through the normal process. As you know, we have a few members, a few prospect members that were coming, and now I am not seeing them. So this is what I mean, to not go ahead and just automatically invite someone right after the third meeting, because we don't know. So so that's basically where my head is, and I will work on your comments.
All right, so we have a guest. Hi, Simone. Morning. You're okay. Go ahead. You're unmuted.
Hi,
Go ahead.
good morning.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Rotarian Simone Walker McFarlane from the Rotary Club of Portmore, Jamaica.
Okay, very welcome.
Great. Say hello to President Nicole.
Good morning, President Nicole.
No.
To send from us greetings to President Nicole. So President Nicole is the Nicole that was in our club before, and
yes,
she moved to Portmore, and she's president this year.
Yes,
and apparently she's just taking the whole area like a tornado, and she's just sweeping with energy. So I'm really, really happy for her.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Roger, over to you.
All right, thank you. President Leslie, fellow Rotarians, thank you. I took the title literally as my Rotary story, so when I looked at it, it's a bit of a travel log, so I hope you're with and following the exciting news of Barry's appointment is quite a daunting task, to be honest, to keep everyone's interest. Some bald facts, really. I joined Rotary in January of 1979, so this is actually my 39th year of unbroken Rotary membership. I joined the Rotary Club of Tortola, then the only club in the British Virgin Islands with a total membership of 32. In 1979, there were no women, of course, in the Rotary Club of Tortola. But I have to say, as a shout out for them, my interest and commitment to Rotary, I think, was established by that club. And I put out, as we were talking about membership, because of the example they showed me as to what Rotarians do and can achieve working collectively. There were 32 very dedicated people. And the good thing that it showed me, I think, was that if you have a club of that size, a bit like this one, really, no one can hide. I joined bigger clubs after that, which I'll come to. And if you have a large club, it's amazing how the 80-20 rule really sticks in. But if you've got 32 and people don't show up, it's very obvious. My reason for joining Rotary is, I don't know if it's unusual, but I'll be honest about it. A lot of people say they join Rotary because they wanted to give back. That seems to be a fairly common one, and it's a good reason. I can honestly say I didn't. I joined Rotary because at the time my employer directed me to. In the 70s, corporate citizenship took a slightly different view on what they would want to do and what they would pay for. And my employer, Barclays Bank, said, be involved in the community, join Rotary. They paid my fees, paid my lunches, because they wanted me out there and there. So I became a member of a Rotary club sometime before I became a Rotarian, I think. But in those days, and unfortunately they have all changed, corporations didn't mind if you went off for a lengthy lunch and took time off to go and do corporate or civic things, so that people saw that their representative was being involved. It's unfortunate that I think the world has changed somewhat, and that is not now as encouraged as it was 30 odd years ago. I became inevitably, as the bank manager, the treasurer of the Rotary Club of Tortola, because it seemed to be, and it followed me through my Rotary career, that if you work for a bank, you must be the club treasurer. And I did that for the 4 years that I was in Tortola, although it would be fair to say that Diana did the work. And I gave the reports. And I will just give you one story. Some of you who are familiar with Tortola will know a long-serving politician and several times Chief Minister, Ralph T. O'Neill, who was a prominent member of the Rotary Club of Tortola, and with whom I'm pleased to say I had a very good relationship. But I do remember on one occasion at a business meeting being asked to give the Treasurer's report, and Ralph, with a fairly loud voice, said, "Well, there's no point asking many questions, Diana's not here." So, but anyway, so I'll give a shout out for Diana there, because she did the work long before she became a Rotarian. In 1982, we in the family, our 2 children, Louise and Julian, moved to Fiji. I was transferred to Fiji as the area manager for Fiji, and I joined the Rotary Club of Suva. Very different club, much bigger, very diverse ethnically, but not such an active club in terms of what people actually did. They were effective, but they were more of a check writing club than they were an active club as Tortola had been. Again, I became, within weeks really, I became treasurer, and I held that role until I was moved from Fiji very reluctantly, when I got a phone call from my boss in Sydney, Australia, who looked after the Pacific region, to saying that someone had asked for me to go and work for them in London, and unfortunately there's a compliment in there, but it wasn't one I really wanted. So we all moved to the UK, and there I joined the Rotary Club of Cranley in Surrey in southern England, about 25 miles or so south of London. An evening club, a dinner club. That was a totally different environment for me, very social. Everyone had a drink we met in a pub. You had a drink before the meeting, you had a meal, and then everyone hung around the bar until the pub closed. It was a very social, very active club. Really nice bunch of people. Very, very enjoyable time with that club. Again, I was treasurer. I was also in line to be president of that club, but as it turned out another time for me, as soon as that became likely, the bank moved me. So and then we and from there we moved to St. Thomas, which made me join the Rotary Club of St. Thomas for the first time. Some of you who've been in the Virgin Islands, the US Virgin Islands, for a long time may remember that at that time I joined the Rotary Club of St. Thomas, we had 125 members. And in some ways, it's a microcosm of Rotary, isn't it? Because now the Rotary Club of St. Thomas has 52. There were less clubs, in fairness, but even so, the 125 I honestly found was too big. It ran very much on the success of committees, because it was very difficult to know everyone in the club other than as a passing acquaintance. And so the success of the club really relied on the success of committee chairpersons to run their committees properly and inform the clubs adequately. It was during that time, of course, that the Supreme Court decision dictated that Rotary could not discriminate against women, and we, Rotary Club St. Thomas, inducted its first woman member, who was Adrian Dudley, if any of you know personalities in St. Thomas. Yes, and then obviously during that time also we had the devastation of Hugo, and I'm pleased and honoured to say that Diana and I were awarded each a Paul Harris Fellow by the Rotary Club St. Thomas, for which they were gracious enough to recognise some of the bits and pieces that we did in the aftermath of the hurricane, which I thought was rather nice, and I treasure that particular occasion. Again, as I say, I was treasurer during that time. I was also chair. The Rotary Club St. Thomas has quite a substantial club foundation, which at the time only ran a scholarship program, and I was chair of that foundation committee for a couple of years, and likely to be in line again to be president of that club, at which point a rather more serious phone call led to my redundancy from the bank, along with 10,000 other people at the time, in a major sea change for the bank and what they were going to do outside of the United Kingdom. So we had to have a whole change of plan, which required us to return to the UK at least briefly. And then we came back to St. Thomas in January of 1994 as the owners of a small company in Crown Bay called St. Thomas Communications. That was really Diana ran the office. It was a very small office that gave sort of mailboxes, etc. type support to small businesses. And I launched myself as something of a consultant. That led me eventually to being asked to go and do a couple of projects for a law firm back in the BVI, which was meant to last a few months and ended up lasting 6 years, which is, I guess, flattering in some respects, but it did mean that my attendance at the Rotary Club of St. Thomas was obviously not very good. So I rejoined the Rotary Club of Tortola, like you do. I came back to St. Thomas in 2002 and joined the St. Thomas Club once again. This time with more permanence, because I wasn't relying on an external employer to tell me when I could go anywhere. And I became secretary in 2007 and then president in 2008-09. By then I had become eligible for the Rule of 85, which I assume, are you all familiar with the Rule of 85 about attendance requirements? That's the combination of age and years of service, which means that you are not required to attend meetings, and you don't affect your club's attendance statistics by doing that. When I first asked this, it was quite funny, really. The Rotary Club of St. Thomas said no. They actually can't say no, but they did, because they said, no, you come every week, and so you're good for our attendance, so we don't want to give it to you. So anyway, I waited another year or so, and then they agreed that I could be the Rule 85. So that continued right up until, 6 weeks ago, I guess, when I'm pleased to join the E-Club of the Caribbean 7020. As for now, I have 2 district hats. I am the district grant writing advisor, and I'm also co-chair of the district audit and stewardship committee with Paul Brown in Jamaica, who looks after the other half of the district. My main role in terms of time that I spend on Rotary is with the Rotary Jaipur Lim. This is a UK-based charity, which I would like to ask if you could give me some time in the future to actually talk about. which I've been involved with to some degree for about 10 years. It provides low-cost, low-tech prosthetic lower limbs through 22 workshops, which over the last 34 years have been established. The workshops mostly in Africa, but they do large limb camps in India. It's called the Jaipur limb because the design was first created in Jaipur, India, and we have a very close relationship with the main clinic in Jaipur, who provide us with some materials and technical advances and so on. Thousands, and I mean thousands, tens of thousands of people have benefited from this Rotary charity. It's something on which takes a lot of time, not just by me, but the rest of the trustees who manage this charity. But it leads me to I was looking for the aha moment, you know, when you stop being a member of a Rotary Club and you become a Rotarian. And I can't really put my finger on one. I don't know if any of the others can, but I certainly know there have been aha moments that have reinforced my love for, my commitment to, my involvement in Rotary. And certainly Jaipur Lim has provided a number of those. If you go to a workshop, and the story I tell, and I've done a number of presentations for them here in the UK, if you go to a workshop and you see a 6-year-old girl who's had her leg blown off by a landmine that Rotary has enabled to walk again, that I regard as an aha moment. The skill of the Jaipur limb is that it's cheap, it's very durable, but it's cheap to repair. You don't need expensive workshops to do it or to repair it. I mean, certainly the sole of the actual foot could be repaired by your local motor mechanic if he's got a spare used tire. So this makes it very useful in places that are not able to provide high technology. In the past, I was chair of a major District 7020 district project during past Governor Errol's year, where we totally transformed a very large high school in Haiti, which involved the coordination of 33 Rotary clubs, 3 districts, about 20 Rotaract clubs. It took about 9 months because we'd started it before the major earthquake in Haiti, and then we had to reassess the situation afterwards and expand it because the school took in several hundred displaced students from, the school was in Lake Kai, where DG Robert is from, but several hundred displaced students from Haiti, from Port-au-Prince, were relocated to Lake Kai, so we had to adjust what we were doing. And the generosity of Rotarians again came forward and enabled us to do the job. And I have to say, going to the school when it was reopened and handed over to the Ministry of Education in the company of several prominent Rotarians is again another aha moment, when you realize that all the evenings and telephone calls and all the stuff that you do when you do a Rotary project, actually you sit there and think, yeah, that was all worthwhile. I'm glad we did that. I have done, together with A.G. Marston and with Diana, several grant management seminars over the years. We've done them both in St. Thomas, in St. Martin, and in the BVI. When they were first introduced, we went across and did those. I've also once been the DG special rep for the evaluation of a new club. It's quite an interesting exercise to be involved in. And outside of the district, some of you know that I have been an RLI, Rotary Leadership Institute discussion leader, and I've carried out those presentations both in St. Thomas, in the BVI, and in Puerto Rico. I've done training at club level, district level and at zone level. And I just bore you with that one because my task at the zone level was to assist incoming governors' spouses. They thought that I had the experience necessary to tell the spouses, the majority of whom for the year I did it were women, of course, because the majority of the governors coming in our zone were going to be men. Not all of them, but the majority. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was great fun. They were a tremendous group, about 20, I forget how many there are, district 25, I think. But great fun. It was a very fun time, and I really enjoyed doing it. We've done, Diana and I, because we tend to go pretty much everywhere together. We've obviously been to Haiti a lot. I've been involved in projects, obviously, in Haiti over the years, several of them. And we've made many visits to Haiti. It's one of our favorite places to visit. There's a buzz. I get a buzz when I step off the plane in Port-au-Prince. I don't know why, but I do. I just find it exciting. You never, and in all fairness, you're never quite sure what's going to happen and in what order, but it all will. The Haitians are tremendous hosts, and we always leave looking forward to the next time we're going to go. We've made 2 trips to Uganda for Rotary, one as a result of a project that my club, then the Rotary Club of St. Thomas, did. And we were there last October as part of my role in Rotary Jaipur Lim. And we traveled a lot of the country by road, which again was very exciting. Ugandan Rotarians are, again, an amazing bunch of people who are, it's quite humbling to see what they can achieve with so little resource themselves. And it's one of the reasons, again, another aha moment, when you realize that you have the capability to marshal financial resources that these people will use well. The stewardship of Ugandan Rotarians is very good, and the only thing that prevents them doing more is people providing them with the means. They are a classic example of the hand up, not the handout, and one of the reasons why I am very committed to assisting them whenever I can. But it's, again, the country itself is gorgeous. I mean, Winston Churchill described Uganda as the pearl of Africa. And it's not just the people who are quite charming, but the country itself is magical. It's just a wonderful place. We are still looking at new Rotary Jaipur workshops. We've got 2 that we're looking at in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And in which Dawn, I think Dawn's on the phone. Dawn is helping me with some of the translations so that we can communicate with them in French. We've got one that looks really positive right on the western edge of Uganda, which is where Diana and I went in October, particularly to go to see the hospital administration. And it's right on the Congo border, which is, and again, a gorgeous part of Uganda, in what it's known as the Mountains of the Moon, the Ruwenzori Mountains, the Mountains of the Moon, and it's as romantic as the name implies. We were hopeful to try and do one in Jamaica, and we were quite a good way down that in the hospital in Montego Bay, the Cornwall Regional Hospital in Jamaica. At which point, as those of you who follow Jamaica news will know, that they suddenly had to close it because they had a mold problem in their air conditioning and ventilation system, and so the hospital has closed. So that project is now on hold. Hopefully, whenever they get the system, get the hospital reopened, we'll be able to look at that again. Again, I come back to the aha moments. I've mentioned a couple. I don't want to bore you with too many, but there are a lot. Diane and I were in Uganda, and we were going around this village where people have been displaced because of a very violent insurgency. And we were walking around with one of the village leaders, one of the village elders, and we were standing talking. I suddenly felt someone hold my little finger. There was a little girl who I would say was probably 7 or 8, and she looked up at me and smiled, and I smiled back. And that seemed to be the signal. They were all these children were following us, but they were quite a little bit, I guess, a bit nervous, and who are these strangers in their midst? As soon as she did that, everyone else wanted a finger. So I then did the rest of the village tour with my hands out here as I walk around with a child on each finger, which is kind of neat. I can see that little girl's face as I speak to you now. I'm also assisting at the moment another Rotary charity here in the UK, which does eye camps. They've asked me for contacts in the Caribbean, and I've had 3 expressions of interest, 2 from Jamaica and 1 from Haiti. And today there is supposed to be a conference call between Haiti and the trustees of that eye charity. And so I'm looking forward, hopefully in the next 24 hours or so, to hear the results of that. My particular interest, I guess, in Rotary is the foundation. I've seen it. I've been involved in what it can do. It is the engine of Rotary. It does all the things that we think are worthwhile, and that's why I'm a big believer in both the giving of it and in using it whenever possible. I mean, it's question number 1 to me. If you want to do a project, is it a global grant? Is it a district grant? How do we maximize whatever the money is? Money is difficult to raise now, so let's find a way to make the maximum we can. And I will just mention, because I think in encouraging anyone who has not done this, both Diana and I are members of the Bequest Society. It's the old story about if you put something in your will, you're not going to miss it, right? Because you're not going to be there. And we've both done that. And I will just say, because I think it's important that if you can spare the money, both Diana and I are major donors to the Rotary Foundation, because we believe that what Rotary does with this money is what we believe Rotary should do with this money. So we think we should put our money where our mouth is. So last week, I think President Leslie, you asked, or it may have been Sergeant Howard, about what do we bring individually to this club. And I've thought about that as I was writing this, and I guess it's easier for other people to judge what individuals should bring to the club. But I guess everything I just said, it's all my background. It's 38 years of Rotary, very mixed background of Rotary experience in a variety of places. And I think that given the experience, I mean, this club is not that large, but the collective experience within this club is amazing. I mean, proportionately, it probably has more experience of people who've done more things than any club I can think of. I mean, you've got 20 members, and you've got a past governor, you've got past presidents, people who've collective years of service in Rotary of this group of people is massive. So I just throw my bit in along with the rest of the other 19, I think it is. And because collectively we have an awful lot of experience we can draw on just within our club. And at that point, I hope I haven't gone on too long. Have I gone on too long? It's difficult to know how long I'm supposed to speak for. I tried to truncate it, believe it or not. So I'll stop at that point, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay,
Thank
John.
you. I'll clap on my shoulder because I'm holding my iPad. I see John's hand up, but Sarge, I'm turning over to you because I see some persons have comments to make. John, go ahead.
Start with John, yeah.
Roger, you've been you're an inspiration to us all.
Absolutely.
But I believe you kind of glossed over a couple of years as, officially 1 year as the first dude.
Oh, yes.
Yes. But for those who have not been in Rotary leadership positions, do not think it's 1 year. We all started together at least a year and a half before the year of service, and your support of Diana in that year made you perfect for the zone conference with the spouses. But you're don't leave that part of
No.
of
Well,
Rotary Spirit out.
yeah, John, thank you for that. And I apologize to past Governor Diana, because in my notes, as I go down here, as I was working my way through it, I've got First Jude in here. It comes immediately after it, all about the grant management seminars, and I did that. The next thing says First Jude to DG 2010-11, and I missed it. I will, if I may just say, it was, because I know I put it in there, first of all, because we had such a good time. I mean, I don't know, it was one of those, people say it was a life-changing experience. I don't know if it was life-changing, but it's so vivid, I think, in both our memories, considering how long ago it was, 7 years ago. But I can see so much of that so clearly. In some ways it was a blur. It was a very fast year, but it was amazing. We had such a good time. But also, thank you, John, for raising it. But part of the reason that it was as enjoyable was because the district secretary at the time, not mentioning any names, John, was so efficient and took an awful lot of pressure off Diana, because you were outstanding. There was no, and I'm not just saying it because you're online. I have told other people about that, even when you've not been in earshot.
All right, any other comments? Sarge, are you seeing any other hands up? Oh, I think Howard is attending to his daughter. Any other comments?
Dennis.
Hi, everybody. Good
Dennis.
day, everybody. I gotta say,
Dennis
Roger
is
and Diana,
screaming.
I had. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I had the pleasure of welcoming you into Rotary East probably a dozen times between the two of you, and every meeting that I did that turned out to be a smashing good meeting. I gotta say, So thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the way, I was a Rotarian for 2 months, and they made me club treasurer. Right now.
There you go.
Okay, I'm not seeing anybody else who has comments. Roger, I just really want to thank you for your inspiration this morning. If I didn't feel like a Rotarian before, I certainly feel so now, having heard you. I really hope that all of us have left or will leave this meeting, with some more ideas as to how we can contribute positively to our club and to Rotary. And also thanks for reminding us that we really do have a dynamic club, small club, but we're a powerful club.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Directors, do we have anything that we want to share with our members before we close the meeting? John?
Yes, once again, the appeal for material for the website. I realize that there are some areas that really need to be cleaned up that were left over from way back, and in many ways, I'm not even positive how to go about it. But one of the I think one of the things that has been pointed out is that there are pictures and biographies of a number of older members, but not a lot and not all. I know that I believe Keturah, you were a charter member, and yet no, not anyway. That there are charter members that are not listed and so forth. But I can't make it all up. I can try and put up what people give me. So please send me stuff for the website. There's a lot of things that we do and things, information that ought to be there. Well, let's do it, please.
Thanks, John. AG, Amaryllis?
Well, I have the main news, as Roger said, is the selection of Barry as president-elect, our president-elect, which we can be more proud than we feel. The other thing that would be important is to we didn't do it this Saturday, but I want to go back to that. What makes you special? But there's going to be a component on how you're going to present that to us. But I cannot tell you that because the impromptu part is very important. But as soon as we have some time, we're going to have a little bit of fun with that. And other than that, what I would really like you to, everyone, please get your Rotary.org account, because I see that there's a lot of people still that are not there. And please grace me as a district chair Rotary Business Online, because it's really is not cool when my own club is not there 100%. And I'm trying to tell everybody else to do something that we don't have together yet. So that's important, because there you can see where Rotary is going. You get your news there. If you don't want to receive 10,000 newsletters like I do, it doesn't bother me, because I'm looking for that information. But the goals and everything, you can ask questions, and it is the way to go with Rotary. I mean, we really need you to be there so that RI knows who we are and what is it that is going on with the club. So it will be, if we can do this, it will go on the part of the membership efforts, the club of the month, and all that kind of stuff. So let's please get a Rotary.org account. If someone needs help, just please send me an email.
All right, Henriette has her hand up, Leslie. Go ahead, Henriette.
Okay. Yes, hello. Am I on mute? Yes. Okay, I want to apologize first for having come in late. I'm not feeling too well, but just wanted to let you know that on Tuesday I'll be traveling to France, and I will be spending 2 months away from home. So with the time lag, etc., my attendance may not be as good as I would like. But I want you to know that my heart is with you, and that I will follow up as much as I can. But there are some medical things and social events with the family that I may have to attend that will keep me away. So that's my main thing. And two, Paul had mentioned during the district meeting, district conference, that the books of Butterfly that were not delivered at the conference would be delivered at home, would be sent at home. And I think I have 6 books in French that are used. Yep. And 2 in English, yes, maybe, I don't remember.
Finally got the French.
Okay,
Sorry,
so
interruption. We just got the French uploaded, so
okay.
It shouldn't be long.
No, I mean, I'm sure that just what I wanted to say is that it might be less expensive to ship it to my address in Paris than to my address in Guadeloupe. So since I will be in Europe for 2 months, it might be a good idea to do that way. So if you're interested, I can send it to you by mail, so I don't keep the floor too long. So that's all. And I'm so glad to see
Henriette, would you email me your French? Henriette,
yes,
would you
yes,
email me your French address, please?
Yes, absolutely. I will.
Beautiful.
I will. It was just to mention it. Okay. So that's all.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to put one fun part here. In November, for the foundation, as you know, there is the ride for polio, and everybody's on a bike. But there is a district effort for the entire district, or as many members as possible, to ride on a stationary bike together while others are riding in the real world. So start thinking about where you can ride your bike, in your home or on a gym, or have someone do it for you. John, you're saying no. Well, you know, sponsor someone to do it for you, an interactor or somehow. But I really want our club to be out there because it's going to be one of those visible things for us to be part of a collective effort. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And we all can raise money the same if it's on a stationary bike or if we sponsor someone, if we cannot do it ourselves or don't want to bother with doing it ourselves. So it's okay. So I hope you find that quite amusing. I think it is to see most people putting these miles together to raise funds for polio. That's one thing. Now officially, we're going to be launching this week the DG initiative. It is called 1,000 Rotary 70/20 stories. I did say something before, but now it's official. We have everything approved from DG. He's thrilled about it, and the idea is to, by the end of the district year, of the Rotary year, to have 1,000 stories. I mean, we are more than 2,000 Rotarians in the district, so I think we should be able to contribute 1,000 Rotary stories. That includes interactors and includes Rotaractors, of course, and early actors. So there's plenty of ways that we can match those, meet our goal, and hopefully we can put more than 1,000 stories together. But start thinking about what your story is going to be, because they are going to be, all of them are going to be posted in the website, and you can contribute with a poem, or we can contribute with a picture, or you can contribute with doing a video, however you want to do it. But the thing is to share one story, 2 stories, 3 stories. I mean, Roger, you already contributed, I don't know, like 7 stories today. So it's just, maybe we can just clip your presentation and start with that. But I hope that we can be part of that. And I was in a meeting in Rotary East, and they have their Rotary backpacks that they're giving out to their schools. And so I raised my hand and I committed to buy 10 backpacks, which I'm going to bring to give to our winners of the butterfly storybook, so that when they get their certificate and everything, they're going to get this the backpack. I think that I'm somehow to put something about the e-club on it, like or luggage tag or a pin, something. Just those things. I don't know how.
Maybe put the butterfly pin on it.
Yeah, something. But
Maybe put
just
the
so that you
butterfly
know,
pin on
I'll
it,
bring
yeah.
them to the conference, and we'll put everything together in there, and then we can hand them over like that, which I think will make also a bigger of an impact.
All right, thank you. We have 3 more minutes into the meeting, and I'd like to give PDG Dana, if she has any updates as our treasurer. Do you have anything that you'd like to speak with us about?
Well, as far as treasurer goes, we are fairly healthy in the balances in our bank account. We have still 2 members who are now delinquent with their dues. Hopefully, we will receive those before too long. We have paid our Rotary International dues and our district dues, so the club owes no money at all. But I would say my only concern is that we make sure that we really concentrate on doing some fundraising this year. It's something that we haven't probably done as well as we would hope. Butterfly is not really so much a fundraiser as it is a project, because if we do raise funds, then we can afford to give books to developing countries. So that would be my request from a treasurer standpoint. I just wanted to, if I may, make a comment about the Get on Your Bike in November. And I'm wondering if we could have an e-cycle meeting.
And that would be awesome. Yeah.
So that everyone, I mean, probably stationary bikes would be more practical, although it doesn't have to be that. But if we designated one particular date where we all join the meeting, but from a bicycle.
That would be really fun.
You know,
How about a virtual bicycle?
well, a virtual, well, let's
We're an
not
e-club.
do virtual.
No.
Exactly.
That's where we have to get real. There are some times when we have to get real. I mean, you don't want me to send you a hug on WhatsApp when I have you in front of me, no?
But if we make, you know, if we have a date, then that we work towards, then maybe it is something that we can do and just take a picture of our meeting. And
yeah, that would be awesome. The idea is going to be throughout the week. It's actually an RI initiative, and I collected this brochure at the convention in Atlanta. And so what happens is that as we started talking with people of the district, we started saying, well, let's do it. Let's do this a district thing. And throughout the week, so not all of us will be biking, maybe some people on Monday, some people Wednesday, but throughout that week, we'll put the miles together at the end and whatever is being collected for it. So,
All right. Thanks, Dan. I am so in on that. So I'll be on my bike, not virtually, Dennis.
I know you.
I have a bicycle with training wheels. Does that count?
Yes, I think so. That would be very interesting to see, Howard. I can't wait to see.
Over there.
All right, guys. So
I'll be there.
Hand up, I think.
Remember what happened to me when I tried to, Diana, do you remember what happened to me when I tried to bike?